shrouded in the mists of time, within the vast expanse of an uncharted cosmos, emerged the genesis of humankind. How did the odyssey of humanity begin? What secrets lie within our primordial roots? A tale woven into the fabric of the stars. This is the saga of the Anunnaki and their ancient secrets revealed. Erich von Daniken attended a Jesuit boarding school where his interest in religion also led him to futurology and molecular biology. After attending school, he is trained as a cook and waiter. His job also took him on ocean liners. He continued his scientific and futurological studies, which eventually led him to alien astronauts. Von Daniken was awarded many Lifetime Achievement Awards over the years for his commitment to science journalism. It is an honor to have him as an expert guest on Anunnaki Ancient Secrets Revealed. So Erich, have you found any evidence of extraterrestrial influence in ancient art or architecture?
It always comes up with new information. For example, in French Brittany, we have these gigantic stone lines. They are there since centuries, since thousands of years. But what is new, brand new, it turns out that these stones are not just standing there by coincidence. They are all laid out in Pythagorean triangle. Pythagoras was a Greek mathematician, 500 BC. But these stones in French Brittany are 5,000 years ago. So they knew nothing about Pythagorean triangle. Somebody in the deep past must have told our Stone Age people, you, just bring stones. Maybe they showed them how to move them in an easier way. You bring stones and you put them there and there exactly in the way we order it to you. The question is why? And I have an idea why. In the deep past, these people knew exactly that generation would pass and thousands of years in the future, the new generations will stumble over these stones and they will ask, hey, Pythagorean triangles, 5,000 years BC, how is this possible? Now the questions come up, and that's exactly what we do today. We ask the question because of these stones laid out 5,000 years in the past. Without these stones, we would have no questions today.
So Erich, how do these recent studies compare to those that you've studied in the past?
Well, the knowledge is different. The study in the past, I mean, archaeology practically every month comes up with new discoveries, especially in the Great Pyramid. This is a never-ending story. In the Great Pyramid, practically every year, new shafts, new rooms are discovered. So this is new, the information, but the way how they have done it, and for what purpose they have done it, that's all the old questions. We still have no answers, we have a lot of questions.
Absolutely. So what challenges have you faced trying to get the archaeological community to accept these new facts?
Well, they will never accept these new facts. I mean, the archaeological community, they are wonderful, honest, integral personalities, wonderful personalities, but they don't think the way I do. You know, I have come up with the idea that all it has to do with extraterrestrials. Of course, the humans made these things, not extraterrestrials. The humans made these stones, these alignments, not the extraterrestrials. But the question was why? Who gave them the order? The extraterrestrials. So archaeology don't think in extraterrestrials. They think it's all natural. It happened just by coincidence. I am not afraid of coincidence.
Earlier you talked about the Pythagorean triangles that were laid out in a particular pattern by these ancient cultures. Are there any other significant artifacts or ancient sites that have the similar patterns or patterns that stand out to you?
Definitely yes. And the question is always the same. You know, thousands of years ago, our ancestors were Stone Age people. Now, they start to lay out stones, gigantic stones first. Why? Who gave the order? And it's not the question of one generation, because this took time, 2 or 3 generations. So there must have been a big boss who orders, now be prepared for generations, you have to move stones in such and such a way, in such a line, in Pythagorean forms. So who was given the order? Why? Was he a king? What for? And why did they obey him? So finally our ancestors did it. We have no idea how they moved it. These stone blocks are tons and tons heavy, and sometimes not in flat land, in hill. So you cannot move it with wooden rollers, for example. So we have still no idea why and how, with what technology they did it. The question is the same all over Europe. By the way, this is a phenomenon. We have stone circles in Europe, but not only in Europe. We have stone circles worldwide. Why did our Stone Age ancestor worldwide made stone circles? For what? For whom? The question is always, or the answer is always, they did it for the gods. I accept for the gods, but go on and ask, which gods? And finally you turn out the gods from up there. In the past we thought the gods were the gods in nature. For example, the god is the sun, they adore the moon, etc., the stars, which is not the right answer. Why not? Because the gods gave information. They were talking, they were speaking to the people. Nature, the sun, the moon is not talking, is not giving answers. So who were the gods? Finally you turn out they must have been extraterrestrials, visitors in the deep past who taught our ancestors.
Wow. And do you think that these visitors from the deep past could be the reason for a lot of these lost civilizations that we know from ancient times?
Definitely yes. Of course we have evolution. Of course we are the product of evolution. But not only of evolution. Of a sudden we have been visited by beings from outer space. By the way, which is not coincidence. You know, today our astronomers, they know which solar systems have planets, which planets are habitable planets. They know today. The extraterrestrials knew the same thing. One form of life was the most advanced form, our ancestors. Now you may say some kind of apes or chimpanzees, it doesn't matter. You took one or two exemplaries, you took some cells, you changed the cells of some of these primitive beings, changed the DNA code, which every biologist today knows how to do it. You put this in a liquid of nutrition, then the product in the womb of a female of the same species, the female will give birth to a child. The child is of course part of evolution, but because of this artificial mutation, the child is now going up from the evolution. Soon as you need a new population, you need at least female and male. And now you land in the story of Adam and Eve. The gods created the first Adam and Eve. And etc. In every holy book, including the Bible, it says the gods created humans according their own image. So these extraterrestrials did not by coincidence look similar to us. We look similar to them because we are the offspring. The gods created us according their own image. And they promised, by the way, in the past, they will return. And I am sure they are back already.
And what's interesting is you talked about the DNA. Are there any artifacts that you can remember that kind of show the DNA, any cylinder scrolls or any text that show these beings looking and working with DNA?
Oh yes, especially in Sumerian cylinder seals. We have some of these DNAs, they look the spiral. Now, again, DNA is something very small. You need a large microscope to enlarge them.
Yeah.
So our ancestors could never have seen a DNA. They have been taught by the extraterrestrials. Paint this in your wall, scrap this in your wall. Why? For the generations in the far future. They must see these old writings and scrabblings, and they must come up with asking questions. That's exactly what we do today.
Right, absolutely. What do you think are some of the implications of these amazing discoveries on people that are living now today, if we can really understand what you know, what I know about the ancient past?
Well, the implication is that we are not only humans, we are part of a big family. You know, on our planet we have, of course, different types of humans, but we are all humans. We are all this gigantic family of humans. If one day the extraterrestrials will return, we will not present them, hey, I am a Catholic, or I am a Protestant, or I am a Mormon. No, I am a human. We will not present, I have this political direction or that political direction. No, I am human. We all are human. We are a human society. It doesn't matter what sort of humans we are all humans. And this is what we represent as humanity when we get in contact with extraterrestrials.
I've been traveling around the world. I'm trying to catch up to how many miles you've put out, but I got a long way to go. You've done billions of miles. But as I travel the world, I look for these archaeological sites that have evidence of these ancient timelines. What are the most amazing archaeological sites that stand out in your mind that you've been to that give you a fresh view that we were visited by ancient aliens?
Definitely Puma Punku. Puma Punku is a site in the highland of Bolivia, roughly 3,800 meters high, near Lake Titicaca. And Puma Punku is composed of gigantic stone blocks, gigantic ones, and some small stone blocks, but they are prefabricated stone blocks. You can put them together like Lego sets, you know. Now, roughly 400 years ago, the Spanish conquerors were up there at Puma Punku, and the locals were there too. And the Spanish conqueror was standing before gigantic platforms. And the Spanish asked the locals, how did you move these platforms? We Spanish people, we would not be able to move them. And the locals, very timid, said, it was not us who did it. It was the gods who did it. And the Spanish asked, which gods? The gods who descended in one night from heaven, from the sky. So normally, every culture is proud. Oh, we did this. Our ancestors did this. We were able to do that. In that case of Puma Punku in the highland of Bolivia, the local leaders say, no, it was not us. It was the gods from the sky who did this in one night. Now, once you have come to this solution, the gods did it, gods were extraterrestrials, why should they do something on Earth with gigantic platforms? Simply they used something which today we would call a base camp. They used something to protect their material, their equipment, so that it is not be disturbed by the nature or by animals or by humans. So they made a base camp. That's why they did it with their technology in one night. Today, when we are in Puma Punku, you clearly see gigantic platforms and you see small stones, but work together in such precise way that you can put them together as prefabricated block. Prefabricated means planning. Some engineer must have been sit at some place and calculate first. Otherwise you cannot put them together. That means high technology in the past, and our ancestors, Stone Age people, had no high technology and no engineering in the past.
You were just answering my next question, the technology. What type of technology could these people possibly have had to build these amazing structures and cut into diorite, cut into actual granite? What do you think? What is your hypothesis on that?
We have absolutely no idea. We are standing before a black hole. The technology is definitely here. These cuttings are made. You can see them. You stand astonished for some of these blocks. And not only the large blocks with these angles, but some small grooves have been in some diorite blocks in Puma Punku, in the highland of Bolivia. We see the result of high technology, but we have no idea what mechanics, what machines, what were used. That's why it was not done by terrestrials, it was done by extraterrestrials.
Yes, and I know that you know this, but how far away, for the viewers, how far away do some of these blocks come from? Like, for example, the granite that's located, for example, at Karnak or some of these other ancient temples in Egypt.
Okay, Karnak is not a big problem. You could have transported them in the neighborhood of about 10 kilometers. But for example, Stonehenge, everyone knows Stonehenge in England. These stone blocks were transported more than 100 kilometers away. So again, you ask, Why do people transport stone blocks 100 kilometers away, and why has it to be exactly here, a stone circle? Why do they don't make the stone circle there where the blocks are? So because it was ordered by somebody. The place was a holy place. Why was it a holy place? Because somebody was landing there, somebody from the sky. We have the same situation today. You know, two children, for example, they come and say, we had a vision or we had an apparition of the Holy Virgin Mary. Because two children say something, the place becomes holy. Now more and more people come to this place. They want to adore the Virgin Holy Mary. Then they construct a small chapel, later a bigger church and the cathedral. In antiquity it was the same thing. Somebody descended. The local was astonished. They couldn't understand. They knew it was from heaven. It was the gods. So they made a small stone place, then a bigger, etc. On and on. And today we stand before that technology. Your question was how? We have no idea. We don't know how they made it.
Now that we've been traveling so much and going around the world, one of my favorite places to go is Egypt. And the reason why is because every time I go, I see something new. Are there any new things that you've seen in the last maybe 5 years that say, wow, I've never seen this before? Because I know you've been so many places.
Yeah, of course. In Egypt we have Saqqara. Saqqara, this is the place where the step pyramid is. And archaeologists say this is the oldest pyramid. I don't believe it personally, but it doesn't matter, that's archaeological knowledge. Now, under Saqqara, in the ground of Saqqara, there was tunnels found, and not tunnels of, let's say, 200 or 300 meters, kilometers and kilometers of subterranean tunnels, kilometers of tunnels under Saqqara. Now imagine, again, Stone Age society. How did they cut it? Why? For what purpose? Etc. Then we have in Saqqara one of the other mysteries, which is the Serapeum. Serapeum is an underground place with the most gigantic sarcophagus which you can ever dream of it. I have my body, I am 1 meter 68 centimeters high. If I stand on the sarcophagus with my hands, with my fingers, I can touch the sarcophagus. It's absolutely a mystery. Why? What was in these sarcophagi? Most of them were empty. Archaeology, when they discovered these sarcophagi, they thought it must be made for holy bulls. But then they opened it. There were no holy bulls in it. They were empty. In one sarcophagi, they found different bones, broken bones, by the way, of different animals, which again is the next mystery.
Watch this video at www.4bk.tv or download the app on your smartphone, Fire Stick app, Samsung TV, Roku, and other app providers.